Hey YouTube, as promised, one day late. Sorry about that. This is kind of like a test run with the new uh, program I'm using to try and help me show you guys stuff. As you can see me and hopefully hear me and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you a few videos. The first thing that I have on my screen, if I can figure out how to get it larger, I think that's as big as I can get it right now, is essentially what I was talking about was Pelletier, police chief Maui, has basically came out, and I'm going to show you that in a video, stating that they didn't have to hold the bodies or anything like that for evidence because it's a natural disaster, of which the only person calling it a natural disaster is the governor, also Pelletier, bought and paid for by them. And essentially the president, this is what the president declared it. So essentially, right up here, declared that a major disaster exists in the state of Hawaii. So, up here, President Biden approves Hawaii disaster declaration. A major disaster, not a natural disaster. So there's a difference between a major disaster and a natural disaster. Again, Josh Green wants it to be a natural disaster, of course. So does Pelletier, so he doesn't get any blame for blocking people on Front Street. So I did a little research into, different things. So like, let me go back one page here. So you see where it says natural disasters right there. And what falls in lines with those: tornadoes, severe storms, hurricanes, floods, wildfires, earthquakes, drought. So why I had clicked on wildfires are essentially a wildfire. A wildfire could be a natural disaster if it was, some ground or whatever was struck by lightning. Maybe, obviously they live in volcano area, and if any volcano eruptions or the earth cracks open and lava comes out and starts fires, so on and so forth, those are natural disasters. The fire is not created by humans or something that had any human involvement. For example, arson fires. Somebody could start an arson fire, or just start a fire. That's a human interaction, and kill lots of people. We don't even know at this point if that's how the Maui Fires started. They just it's a natural disaster. Why are they claiming it's a natural disaster? Because there just happened to be a hurricane in the area. And because of that, creating winds and so on and so forth, they want to blame the hurricane for the power lines and the power starting grass fires and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not saying that that didn't happen at some point, but like I told you before, the fire department had put fires out. What we also know is that the power company killed all the power. But the communications with all these people, the communications with the emergency management, with the mayor's office, with John Pelletier, and with the fire department, none of this information was getting through. There was like no communication with everybody, as you've seen in all my other videos. Sirens weren't set off, no text messages to people letting them know what's going on and on and on. So all these problems. So basically this page just talks about, wildfires and so on and so forth, that sure, they can be natural disasters if they're not created by human beings, where power lines are created by human beings. And yes, the wind could have knocked them down and so on and so forth, but it wasn't a natural disaster. In other words, it wasn't created by nature that caused the natural disaster. Sure, wind is a form of nature, if you believe in that sort of thing, which we all have since the dawn of time, until now the military and the government can control the weather, which is a new thing to me, but it is a fact. Do I think they created that hurricane? I don't know. I don't know how all that works. but it's just something that happened and created a lot of winds and so on and so forth. Do they have things in Maui that can make things worse? Wind sort of things with the military there? Yeah, they do. All this, laser beam stuff that we hear all about, and, microwave technology, do they have that in Maui? Yes, they do. And I don't have that ready to go today, but I'm gonna make some videos on that as well. So we'll keep going here. Natural disaster. So basically here, if we look through it, it talks about all different different types of, occurrences generated by effects of natural rather than human-driven phenomenon that produces great loss of life, destruction of natural environment, private property, public infrastructure, so on and so forth. A natural disaster may be caused by weather, climate events, earthquakes, landslides, and other occurrences that originate at Earth's surface or within the planet itself. So in other words, this, it has something about wildfires here. Essentially, that doesn't really give us much, but that's why I did the research on the other page. If a human causes the fire, or if man-made things, for example, let's say that power lines did go down. Well, Maui Electric, the government there, everybody knew that the lines were not safe in high wind conditions and so on and so forth, and they weren't really dealing with those issues there. So if you know there's a problem and you don't deal with it, and then a storm comes through and knocks some lines down or whatever and creates a fire, is that a natural disaster? I wouldn't say so. I would say that it's also a man-made disaster, because if you know there's an issue and you don't take care of it, possibly on purpose, so that your declaration works for you, then, and I have stuff about the declaration on here as well that we're going to get to, but in my opinion, it's not a natural disaster. There's too many factors that went into all of this that created a major disaster, just like the president declared it. He didn't declare it a natural disaster. He declared it a disaster zone. Like to talk here: weather, flooding, rains, cyclones, drought, wildfires. So let's just click on that one anyway. Let's see what it brings us. So fire danger in a wildland setting varies with weather conditions, drought, heat, wind, participation in drying timber, other fuel, making it easier to ignite. Once a fire is burning, drought, heat, and wind all increase. The intensity, topography also affects wildfire, blah, blah, blah. We all know that, and so on and so forth. Well, I know how fire works and all those conditions, being a firefighter. Just scrolling down here a little bit. I mean, you guys can read this as well. That's the other thing. So like, if you want to talk about natural disaster and so on and so forth with no blame or all this other stuff, they stopped people from getting water, so firefighters can't do their job. No notification. I mean, all these things don't add up, and it's just ridiculous to me. And of course, Josh Green wants it to be, in John Pelletier, a natural disaster. Anyway, moving along. This is another one that I had. Are wildfires considered natural disaster, or are they chiefly caused by humans? So as I was talking about before, and as it says here, it's hard to say if wildfires are natural disasters or if they are directly tied to human activities. And like I was explaining to you before, if you don't deal with hazardous situations and something happens, what happens? You get sued for liability, right? So if all these power lines are not meant to withstand the winds, and they already knew it, and like every little wind that goes through there, they always have issues, but did they have issues to this magnitude? Of course not. But they knew it was an issue. So that's liability, right? Is that a natural disaster? I would say no. Um, and we still don't know if arson was involved in this at all. So for Pelletier to just blatantly put a blanket on this, this is a natural disaster. And I'm going to do some, I did research it, but I forgot to add it to the list here. What are the differences between natural disaster or, like what the president called it, and like what happens? So with natural disasters, there's less investigations and everything else on all this. But in a disaster, or any human type disaster, for example, a shooting or something like that, the investigation is different because obviously that's not natural. World Trade Centers that Pelletier likes to talk about all the time. That's not a natural disaster. So, the investigation process can be different. But if it's a natural disaster, that whole process gets thrown out the window. Like, oh, well, it's nobody's fault, so we don't have to investigate all this stuff. Again, that's why they want it to be a natural disaster. What do we have here? This was stuff that I was doing research on because I had watched videos and so on and so forth about complaints where, and I saw the 2 police officers that had retired, and they complained about Pelletier and the way he treats people, he'd yell at people, all this other stuff. Like, nobody likes working for this guy. Why is that? Well, probably because he sucks at what he does, and he just belittles people and tries to take control and everything else. Superiority complex, thinks he's above the law, on and on and on. I mean, you can see it in his mannerisms and how he deals with these interviews, which we're going to see the one that really pissed me off the other day. So it's not just like, this is even before the fires. People were already having issues with him. He had complaints against him, and so they pulled this whole thing up. They had the commission get together and find out if these things are valid or not. And for whatever the reason, they didn't push it to, and here's like a picture of them all meeting or whatever. They didn't find anything to, obviously, because he's still there, to get rid of him yet. However, there are numerous other people that have come out, officers with complaints against him. And then, now the crisis is such a big deal with the wildfires and stuff like that, that they don't have time to keep, checking him for what he's doing wrong. I think now the rest of the world can see the whole thing. I mean, what he did is criminal, to say the least. Like, he should already be in jail himself for what he did on Front Street. So, what was this? So this was interesting to me. Again, I don't want people to think I'm a conspiracy theorist or any of this other stuff, but as I was doing research on him, I just found this, and there's all kinds of stuff about this guy, but this video was a little interesting to me, and I didn't know anything about it. And essentially there's this thing called cipher that you can type in any name, anything, and you can come up with symbols of to decipher this stuff. And if you relate it to anything else that would be bad, which part of it is like satanic cipher, and there's an English cipher one and whatever. Anyway, I just did it just because I thought it would be interesting for you guys, so I'll just play this so you can see for yourself. And then I also I found the place where this whole cipher thing is, and I typed it in myself just to see if it lined up, and it absolutely did. What that means, I don't know. Like I said, I just thought it was interesting. I already can't stand this guy anyway, so I was fine finding this. So let's just watch it.
In the news, August 15th, no stranger to tragedy, Maui Police Chief John Pelletier led response to 2017 Vegas massacre. Maui Police Chief John Pelletier is no stranger to responding to mass tragedy. Nearly 6 years before disaster struck in the form of wildfires that ripped through parts of the island and killed at least 99 people, he was on the ground in the aftermath of the deadliest shooting in modern U.S. history. John Pelletier. Guys, in gematria, John Pelletier equals 149 604 202. Maui Wildfires, 149 604 202. Skull and Bones, 149 604 202. So John
So that was kind of, crazy to me. I'm blocking the Skull and Bones right here a little bit with my screen. I could move it, but this is new to me, so I don't want to take any chances. So there you can see it there, since I've minimized it. So that was interesting to me. What would his name have to do with, these things? Maui Wildfires. The connotation of 604 is the same, whatever. I don't know what all this means other than it's bad. It's certainly bad for him. And so again, because I don't know much about that stuff, so I went to this myself. So if we go back, you can see 149 604 202 for his name. Same with the Wildfires, same with Skull and Bones, right? So 149 604 202, and I have his name typed in here. So if I put Maui Wildfires, (149-604-202), just like the guy said, and the other one that he was talking about, Skull and Bones, (149-604-202). Like I said, not trying to create, to me, I'd like to stay on track, but I just found it interesting and thought maybe you guys would as well. Like I said, I don't think the guy is, a stand-up person as it is, and what he did on the front street, like I said, he should already be in jail. So this is where we had left off. We can get rid of this one now. It's playing, but it's trying to remember why I had this one here. Yeah, we won't play this one. It doesn't really matter. So then I found this guy. I don't know who he is or whatever. I just thought it was interesting to play. So we'll just let it play and listen along.
Hey there, folks. The police chief that's in the main town of Maui right now is the same guy who was the incident commander during the big concert shooting in Las Vegas. The big Jason Aldean concert that got shot up. That's interesting. The other interesting thing about it is he recently received a degree in criminal justice from the FBI Academy, and when he received that degree, his little graduation ceremony and everything, Bill Barr and other Biden, Clinton, Obama, Bush cronies were there. Interesting. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. There's got to be some kind of connection, even if it...
So what I thought that was interesting was, how many presidential dignitaries go to, an FBI ceremony, right? I mean, I don't know, but I just found it interesting. Like, why would they be the ones to go to, his FBI ceremony? Again, it's just, all this stuff just blows my mind. It enrages me. Here's another video that I had that I found was really interesting. So let's just follow this along. I mean, I've watched so many videos, and again, I've done my own research. And again, I am a firefighter of 30 years, fire investigator, inspector. I've told you guys all that already. So a lot of this stuff, makes no sense to me at all, especially throughout my career. And I'm just trying to do my homework and get to the truth like anybody else. And since the media doesn't want to cover any of this, and I feel like they're using the government against the people with all these proclamations and everything else. I mean, they're strong-arming the people to not be able to do anything about anything. It's just disgusting to me. So let's just watch this real quick.
And Jonathan Herzog's video has been viewed over 1 million times. It tells the story of Front Street in those crucial hours of 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and 5 p.m. Jonathan Herzog's day didn't just end with roadblocks, but it began with them during his AM commute from Kihei.
And then as I got into Lahaina, they were redirecting us all around through these back streets, and branches were coming down.
On his way to Kaanapali, Herzog started filming as he entered town, sensing unusual conditions.
The winds were the worst winds I've ever been in my life.
When he was later heading home through Lahaina town just before 3 p.m., he hit this roadblock on the south.
So I just wanted to stop here. You can see the police over there. You can see lines down. It's hard to tell here, but it looks like you could drive right through here no problem. I'm just going to back up just a little bit, just so we can see where they are.
This road.
So looking at the police cars here, and I think we'll see it in another section of this video. We definitely will. So I'll just let it keep going. But what I was getting at is where these cars are here. There's cars that go to the right there, over where my cursor is, that they're not letting out onto this road, and that's the escape from Front Street.
Block on the southbound highway at Kapuna Kea before the Cannery Mall. Herzog backtracked to where Front Street meets the highway. Traffic moved well enough at that time to rejoin the highway near Lahaina Luna here at 3:02 p.m. But then, Herzog says, traffic snarled with downed trees and crews working to the south.
Then I ended up turning around and trying to go north again, thinking, well, at least I'll get out of Lahaina.
But to the north, the gridlock was worse, he says, so he detoured over on Baker and then south again on Waine'e. At 3:19, his camera shows a police vehicle blocking access to the highway at Papalaua. But nothing had eased up, so without GPS, he heads north to look for an open route. His first view of the fire at 3:24 p.m. on the hillside, and just before 4 p.m., he ends up in this line of cars on Front Street, in gridlock.
My goal is to get into the Kingdom Hall parking lot.
Just sat there, I think it was a good 25 minutes, something like that.
Holy cow, dude. So now the smoke is virtually blocking out the light. I am going to make my way down to the water.
At 4:26, Herzog abandoned his car at Kingdom Hall and walked to Mala Wharf.
It was obvious the fire was out of control, so that's when I decided to leave the vehicle completely.
Passing vehicle after vehicle, he noticed of those on the bridge.
All of those cars were still sitting there, just same exact spots.
KITV4 reported on the other side of the Cannery Mall that Herzog passed by in the 4 p.m. hour. The highway was completely shut down for 2.5 hours at Keawe Street until at least 5:24 p.m. Traffic routed towards Front Street. At 5:30, Herzog comes to the end of Front Street, and to his surprise,
Looked like 2 police vehicles parked kind of nose to that exit for Front Street.
So right there, that's what I wanted to show you. So you got these cruisers right here, and here's the exit from Front Street. How's that looking for you? No reason to be blocking all these people in there at all. I don't even see any power lines down here. And you got a car all the way up to here. You got a person on a scooter right there. So why is that happening? Now I watched this video of this guy. This is footage taken from his video with some news thing. What is it? Lahaina, Maui News. And I watched his whole video raw, and where he ended up. He ended up on like a jetty for a while, and the smoke and everything got so bad he even got off that. Like he was out, on a jetty. It's like an L shape in the ocean, and it just got so bad he, couldn't breathe anymore and so on and so forth. So he felt like he needed to, even go further, like go back. He had to go all the way back to land off the jetty, and then try and escape, which he obviously did escape. And I think it was smart that he got off there just because of the smoke, because that'll kill you in itself. The fire doesn't even have to touch you. And it was like black. I mean, it was just like, again, so much smoke heading towards him. I mean, he was really smart to get out of there. When he went out there, I was like, no, dude, no, don't do that, so on and so forth. And I'm not laughing about this, whatever. It's just, looking back at it and thinking about that guy, himself. That's why I was like, kind of freaking out, like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Like, just keep going until, you get out of the wake of this fire. You know what I mean? Don't think you're safe right there, because it's the smoke that's going to get to you. The fire would never have gotten to him. So he did escape, obviously, but this, to me, just look at this. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. And this is just one of the exits of 2 to get out of there. And they just keep, in between all of that, there's police blockades. So they're just like, they got people riding in circles and not letting them out, which is ridiculous. Like, if I was one of these cars here, I would just drive right over that median. Like, who are these cops to stop me? Like, you crazy? Look where the fire is. It's right behind us, and you won't let us out of here. It's ridiculous to me, the whole thing. See if there was anything else.
Street, kind of at a V like this. The traffic had basically bottlenecked right there. So there were cars in both lanes trying to go north by this point. But everyone was stopped on Front Street right there.
As the maintenance worker walked past the gridlock, heading north on foot, at 5:33 p.m. motorists had been fleeing into the water, as seen in Noah Tompkinson's video, 1 mile to the south of the Front Street roadblock near Baker, 2 blocks south of where Herzog had abandoned his car. I asked the chief of police directly at the last press conference, were command and control for fire and police in contact that afternoon in the emergency operations center? He declined to answer that, but says that police were directing the public away from dangerous power lines. Hawaiian Electric says those power lines were de-energized as of the morning. Reporting from Lahaina, Jeremy Lee, KITV4 Island News. Back to you.
So that whole thing is disgusting to me. And you know, we've heard all this stuff before. It's just an absolute nightmare and travesty. I can't even still believe that this happened. So this video right here is going to be the one that really enraged me about Pelletier calling it a natural disaster. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet or not, but if not, I wanted to find it for you, so we'll just watch it right here and then I'll react.
Legal system is going to go with any of the lawsuits, but in past criminal investigations, the remains have been kept in evidence. Do you plan on returning the remains to family members, and how long will that process take?
Okay, so the question is, with previous criminal investigations, remains are held as evidence. So in this case, is that being treated as such, and if not, when will the remains be delivered to their loved ones, correct?
No, we're not planning on holding the remains for criminal need, so there's no criminal need for us to hold the remains. So once they've been identified and their remains are as whole as we're going to have them, and the family's been notified, then they can select a funeral home and the remains can be delivered to them.
I'm just going to follow up on that. We've got over 50, I believe, that we've already released to the family. There's mortuaries that are here have taken some of them, and you know, Wendy, I actually really do appreciate the question. I think it's a really good question. I think it's very important that people understand this, though. This is not a crime. This is a natural disaster. This is a natural disaster, and that the law enforcement role is in some ways a secondary or even a further down the road role, but because of the investigation and the missing persons component, as well as the coroner's office, MPD has a role, but there's no reason to hold these because there has been no crime committed. These are victims of a horrific fire. Doctor, can you help us understand more about that?
So there you heard it. Disgusting to me. And again, he's just calling it that because that gets him off the hook, you know. There has to be a full investigation, and by them releasing bodies and so on and so forth and sifting through all the stuff that they're going through there right now and everything else they're doing, all they're doing is contaminating all the evidence, and that's just ridiculous to me. And when I say evidence, in this same video, they talked about, and you can just look it up, see if I can. Well, it's MPD, Maui Police Department, revises death toll from Lahaina fire to 97. I'm kind of blocking it here. I apologize. Let me see if I can move myself out of the way so you can see it. There you go. So if you want to look that up and you can watch the whole video, essentially what that video is what you just saw there, but all they did through the entire video is play with numbers like, well, we had 115, now it's down to 95, and like I explained in my last video, just back and forth and all twisting you up. There's still no actual numbers for anything. I think they, especially like where are all the children? Like literally, where are all the children? Where are all the families? If you watched my other video, the last one before the last one, where I can show on like Google Maps, or it was Google Earth, one or the other, that the size and scope of this entire fire and all the damage. So it's not just the people on Front Street, but like nobody had any warning. So there had to be people in their homes just not realizing what's going on, not even just down on Front Street, like everywhere. And people just died, could be taking a nap, whatever they're doing, and just deceased. But I feel like, it's not even that I feel like it, what they were majorly doing is trying, all the locals, most of the people that do all the work there in Maui and everything else, and they live down there on Front Street. They have for hundreds of years. That's, in my opinion, who they want gone, so that they can just do a land grab like everybody else said. So let's get to the whole Josh Green thing and the proclamation. So I did some research on that. What's the next video here? This video I just wanted to show because if you look here, right, let's zoom in a little bit. What does he not have on his face? What does he not have on his face? What is this person, right? And look at the background. They're all in, the disaster zone. Yet they put up all these black screens so nobody can see and so on and so forth to protect everybody from, harsh chemicals and everything else that are down there and so on and so forth. They're not even protecting themselves. So what are they protecting people from? They're not protecting anybody from anything. All they're doing is blocking everybody from being able to see. That is clear. Look at them. The president was right down here with all of them as well. Let's just watch for a little bit.
And the fear that went through people when a fire, which was really a hurricane and a fire, came through all at once.
Where's the governor's
We'll rebuild, families will come together, but there's a lot of loss here. And I think we're going to see significantly higher numbers in the coming days as our professionals from FEMA and Maui Fire, police do their job. We're proud of them for doing.
Yeah, so proud of them. You're a disgrace. Yep, pat on the back. She's the head person for FEMA that he's dealing with. Another disgrace. I'm just kind of like zooming through here to see if we can see any. I mean, that's what she looks like. While she stays in a over $1,000 a night hotel, while other people are out, in the street and so on and so forth. I mean, look at where they are. The devastation behind them, all that. No masks. This reporter here, whoever she is, no mask. I don't even know if she works for FEMA or whatever, but the head lady of FEMA is not wearing a mask. The governor's not wearing a mask. They're so concerned about all the chemicals and stuff in the air there, but they have no problem being down there. It's an entire joke. It's an absolute travesty. I'm just scrolling through here to see if I could see any different angles, but yeah, so you can see right here where they are. This is Front Street. Those are all the cars, and they're just out there. You can see a person here and there wearing a mask or whatever. This lady's wearing a mask. But like I said, the governor's not wearing a mask. The head of the FEMA's not wearing a mask. I shouldn't say she's the head of FEMA, but she's the head of this situation here, representing FEMA on Maui. And yeah, it's just ridiculous to me. The entire thing. So that's why I wanted to show this. So what's the need for the black screens? If everybody's just going to walk down there and it's no big deal, including, like I said, the president has done it, the governor's done it, everybody's done it. This is when Josh Green signed the proclamation, and what these people, I believe, didn't really realize what he was signing until after the fact. Because there's another video that I watched of a person that was enraged because he realized what was happening, that they had just allowed him to do. But let's watch this together.
Now, for perspective, it costs $322,000 a year to support a person who's suffering with schizophrenia at our...
Sorry, I want to interrupt here, but look at this guy. Like, what does he think he's the king of Hawaii with all this stuff on? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. He doesn't even know how to wear a lei, by the way. You don't let it hang down your neck like that. It's supposed to be like here, go up over, and come around the backside the same. You know, he's just wearing this like he's the king of Hawaii. You know, it's just ridiculous to me, the whole thing. But I'll just let you hear this.
Or other mental illnesses at our Hawaii State Hospital, $322,000 per person per year. So for less than the cost of keeping 2 such people out of a hospital for 1 year, we can build an entire community of low-cost permanent housing at Kauhale, just 2 people. Building Kauhale communities takes time. It takes energy, it takes planning, it takes people, it takes passion. It also takes conviction, a commitment to breaking from the status quo. So again, Twinkle Borja and Blanche McMillan, just 2 names among many, are showing what it takes to embrace this village concept to help our people find a permanent home.
So he's about to do it here. Sorry, you didn't need to hear all that, whatever, but what he does here, he signs this proclamation in front of all these people. There's like not even a hearing about it. He's just here talking in front of them, like nobody votes on it. He just does it. Like he just does it. And none of them really know what he's just done yet. So they don't really stand up to clap, or they don't even know what that means, what he did. Nobody really did. And that's the most disgusting part about this. He knew exactly what he was doing. In this whole thing, I mean, it's like halfway through now. He just talks all nice and everything else, like, oh, this is all about you, all for you, on and on and on. And then I have a document to show you after of what an emergency proclamation does. So let's finish this, watching this horse shit.
So to be specific, our Enhanced Kauhale initiative will follow their example. It will create low-footprint, low-cost housing with a village environment designed for community support, healing, and progress. As long as we are in a housing crisis, we'll treat it like an emergency. So I'm going to do something a little untraditional. I'm going to take action right now.
As long as we're in an emergency crisis or a housing crisis, we'll treat it like an emergency. Okay? See how he slides that in? And now he's about to say what he's going to do that's uncustomary.
Now, with all of you, I've spoken with many of you as leaders. Create low-footprint, low-cost housing with a village environment designed for community support, healing, and progress. As long as we are in a housing crisis, we'll treat it like an emergency. So I'm going to do something a little untraditional. I'm going to take action right now with all of you. I've spoken with many of you as leaders. As of this moment, because this is a crisis, in my hand is an emergency proclamation, and I'm signing it for you.
Signing it for you.
For all of us. It goes into effect today.
Nobody's standing, they're clapping, they don't even know what they're clapping about. I just feel like they just bought this nightmare. You know, they brought this guy in, I think it was in 2021, possibly 2022, and they had no idea what they were doing. And this guy is the devil through and through. He knew exactly what he was going to do here. So without watching any more of this BS, because it's exactly what it is, I just wanted you to see that event and how he did it. Like I said, like the whole proclamation thing, I mean, he just slid it in there. There was no vote. Like, is this a good idea? Let's read what this is going to be before it actually, goes through or whatever. So make sure that we're all on the same page, since you're doing it for us and the people and everything else. No. I happen to have it all written up right here, guys, ready to go. And you're all here. So I'm just going to do something a little uncustomary. It goes into effect today. Not a thing any of you guys can do about it. Nobody gets to read it, so on and so forth, and whatever. So here's the emergency proclamation. And why I have this area, don't think I can make it any larger. Why I have this area here is it's suspension of laws. So we'll just go up to the top so you can see that this is. So this is the proclamation relating to the housing of the governor, state of Hawaii, right? So let's just try and go back. I just wanted so you guys know that what I'm looking at. This is his original proclamation. So suspension of laws. We'll start here. I direct all state agencies to make the review, planning, approval, and processing of permits related to the housing a priority. Suspension of laws, additional powers in an emergency period, to extent necessary to expedite the construction, repair, renovation, and occupancy of housing and infrastructure projects certified under this emergency proclamation. I hereby suspend the following statutes and regulations. Okay, so what does this mean? So in the event of an emergency, he is suspending all of this below. So historic preservation. So there's a historic society of people probably made up of, the indigenous people there. And they may have a say where this building goes based on historical type stuff, whatever. You get no say. Done. Administrative supervisions of boards of commission. So they have commission boards to help make decisions on these projects and where they can go, and so gone. Nope, I'm doing it. Appropriations to revert of state treasury exceptions. Gone. You got no say. Program execution. So on and so forth. Appropriations lapse. County organization administration. I mean, all of these civil service law. Collective bargaining of public and employment. So there's no bargaining, there's no collective. Gone. You're out. Public officers, employees excluded from collective bargaining. Public agency meetings and records. Don't care what you have to say. General fund. I'll spend as much money as I want. Hawaii Public Procurement Code. Don't care what you have to say. Authority and duties of the council. Not my problem. Exemption from general excise taxes. I'll spend as much as I want. Housing development exceptions, ordinances, charter provisions, and rules. Not my rules. Don't care. Land use commission. Not my problem. You guys got no say. On and on and on. So essentially, the only thing that could be a saving grace, and this is, I think this document is, used over and over and over again, and he just adds to it as he wants. Severability. If any provision of this proclamation is rendered or declared illegal for any reason, or shall be invalid or unforeseeable, such provision shall be modified, deleted, and the remainder of this proclamation and the application of such provision to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby, shall be enforced to the greatest extent permitted by applicable law. Point being, there might be a way of getting rid of all of this if fault is proven here, but he wants it to be a natural disaster. Where's the fault? Where's the investigation? Where's the investigation into the police, the police chief for what decisions he made, the emergency manager for the decisions he made, the mayor for the decisions that he made or didn't make, and so on and so forth. And you can see his stupid signature right here. This is a website with all his proclamations on it, and he's been changing them as time goes on. You know, third proclamation relating to wildfires, blah blah. But I had another one pulled up, and this is emergency proclamation on a different one. So in this one, he says essentially all of the provisions are going to be carried out. The supposable original intent of this was for housing, to help get housing going for, you know, the population of Maui. There's homeless people, there's people that live on the island that, to me, this is why they bought it. There's people that live on the island. It's the most expensive place to live in the United States. And what's been happening is, because of after COVID and everything else, it's like the local people or indigenous people to the island can't afford to live there. So it's like they're pushing them out. And when I say they, the economy's pushing them out. You know, the state of the government, and, you know, inflation and all this other stuff, sending all of our money to Ukraine rather than helping our own citizens, right? So it's made the economy there horrible for local people. Can't afford it. And this was sold to them as a solution. This will help. So I'm just gonna take over the whole thing and make up the rules as I go, where we build and how we build and so on and so forth. Well, this proclamation here, what this is for is all those things that I said that I was going to do, I still want to do for you in different areas of Maui. But areas that are affected by the fire, and it says it here somewhere, here, this proclamation shall not apply to the area affected by the Lahaina wildfire shown in the attached map. So this proclamation shall not apply. So what does that mean? The way I understand it is that whole area he's just going to do with what he wants. But the original proclamation is going to help people, local people on the island, be relocated to other areas other than where they lived. You know, that's their land. So we'll take care of them, and we'll put them out, you know, where they can never see the ocean, because that's not very valuable, and we'll just, you know, put them in, you know, kind of like they've done with indigenous people in this country forever. You know, Native Americans. Let's just corral them all in this, you know, all their people in reservations and leave it up to them. You know, not like prime areas of land or any interest or whatever. And then when the government decides all of a sudden that land is valuable because there's oil there, or they want to put pipelines through it or whatever, and they have the people complain, it's not really your land, we're just letting you use it and don't really care what you do there. You know what I mean? There's always some excuse to take more land or do whatever they want with it. It's what's going on here. So essentially what this is, yeah, we'll still help build you some houses out in the middle of nowhere of Maui, but the whole area that's affected by the fire, and, you know, that's still under this whole thing. And as you see, like he said, he put in this image. So essentially all the areas in black that you see that are like prime area, this is where Front Street was and everything else, he's still going to have control over all this and all the development of all this. Like I said, and he's just going to move people in the middle of nowhere, so they can't have the beauty of their island that they had. It's just disgusting to me. So I wanted you to see that, and I think that's about it for this video. I mean, I have a lot on my list, so on and so forth. I don't even know if this is recording right, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna stop it here just so I can make sure that this is working. If you like this, the way I'm doing this better, or if you liked it raw better, please leave a message in the comments letting me know. If you had a hard time hearing me or something, let me know as well, because I don't know where the audio is coming from, whether it's from my laptop or the camera looking at me or whatnot. But I can wear a mic if that makes it easier to hear me. Obviously, I'm going to listen back to this and kind of watch it and see how it went myself. But like I said, if you have any comments or questions, If you want me to research anything else for you, let me know. Obviously, I'm going to keep doing my own research, add stuff to this. I had one other. This guy is called Hustle Bitch. I've talked about him a few times in my videos. I want to add him to the videos as well. He does a great job. And we can watch just a little bit here just so you can get a taste of it.
On today's video, we have a lot of ground to cover in a very short amount of time. Videos about the Maui fire are being scrubbed from the internet at a rapid pace, so I'm going to be showing you a collection of what I've found so that you're able to see them before they suddenly disappear. Here we go.
Now you can't get in there. Now it's a war zone. Now it's like checkpoints and Checkpoint Charlie and guards and FBI and ATF and Army. These people have not been able to go back to their homes to get the contents of their safe. And I've heard rumors about who is rummaging through that. Again, I'm not here to spread rumors, but I'm just telling you. To not allow homeowners to go into and get their stuff is weird. To not allow press to go in there to get their stuff doesn't make sense. To not allow citizens like me to pull over on the side of the road and take pictures and videos from afar of what's going on. I can't fly my drone over there and watch the hillside for future strikes causing fires or looking down and seeing what FEMA's doing. To block everybody out is against our constitutional rights.
There is now yet another extremely concerning situation taking.
So I'm just going to stop it there, but that's a taste. So this guy right here is Hustle Bitch, and who you just heard is another guy, Eric West, who I've spoke about in my very first video, and he hasn't put out much stuff, like I said, since then. Haven't really seen anything other than him donating money to the churches like he said that he would from the GoFundMe that his son created. But that's about it. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll have more, and hopefully I continue to get better at doing this. Like I said, if you like this format better, let me know. If you like the raw format better, let me know, and we'll just keep it tackling this. The more we stick together, the more information we get out, hopefully the more help that we can give Maui. So Shaka, mahalo. See you in the next video. Thanks, YouTube.